All right, let's get started. Hello, everyone. This is Drew Amoroso again, and thanks for joining us today for this week's edition of 11 at 11. I appreciate you being here, and as always, congratulate you for taking some time out of your busy week to work on yourself and on your workday. So this week, I want to focus on a concept that's related to getting over the hurdles that we have when it comes to taking really good, inspired ideas that we have about how to make changes to our workday and our career and translating those ideas into actual outcomes or results. So I want to give you a little formula to think about and a few action steps related to that today. Quick reminder that as we move through the episode today, if you have a question, you can submit it by clicking on the chat button at the bottom of your screen, or if you want to ask a question live, you can just go ahead and let me know that you want to ask it live. We've set this up so that we can see one another's faces and have this feel like more of a discussion. So I continue to see a lot of the same people here each week, which is awesome. So if you feel like you want to ask your question out loud in front of the group, please go ahead and do that. And I'd also encourage you to put your video on if you want to. You don't have to, but that also makes it feel like more of a group discussion. So in each of these episodes, we've been primarily focused on the power of thoughts you have throughout your workday and how those thoughts are the drivers for the actions that you take. So this week, I'd like you to consider a concept that relates to this. And here's the concept. You are today what you thought about yesterday. You are today what you thought about yesterday. Or if you want to put it another way, we could say your current reality is a result of the beliefs that you held the day before. Right. So let's break this down. And I want to give you some sort of practical ways to really put this concept into action. We've said this before, but the way you think is always at the root of your day-to-day work experience. So each of us has the ability, if we want, to decide how we want to perceive what happens throughout our day. And when you pay close attention to your thoughts, what we realize is that the thoughts that we have really are what set us up for who we become, right? Our experience as human beings day to day is the result of actions that we have taken, and those actions are the result of thoughts that we've had. So every change that we make, every action that we take, they're all rooted in an initial thought, sort of a seed, if you will. Our thoughts set in motion a string of actions, and that chain of actions are what shape who we are day to day. And who we are today is the result of the way that we decided to think yesterday, because those thoughts changed our reality. So a practical application of that is, if you want to have a different day-to-day experience, it starts with the thoughts that you have today. And we have to understand that we really are capable of making and manifesting physical changes to our workday, our career, anything that we want, based simply on an originating thought. So let me give you just a quick example of this. So I'm currently visiting my parents in New Albany, Pennsylvania. You can probably see some of the background here. I'm not in San Francisco this week. It's a really small rural town in northeastern Pennsylvania. And this past weekend, we took a family trip to the beach in New Jersey. So my sister lives in Philadelphia, and so we used her apartment as sort of a home base, and we went to the beach on Saturday and Sunday. Now, we found ourselves at the beach this past weekend because we took a series of actions that got us there, right? So first, I brought up the idea to everyone. They said, yes, that sounds great. Let's do it. We talked about how long we wanted to stay. We packed our bags. We got in the car and we drove there. We stopped for gas. We talked about what beach we wanted to go to. We parked our car, paid the meter, grabbed all of our stuff, walked down to the water, and voila, we were at the beach. Now, all of those actions took place because a few days before, while I was sitting outside here, I had this thought, which was, you know what? I really want to go to the beach. And it was a really strong thought. And I could picture myself at the beach, laying out in the sun, swimming, taking naps, all of those good things. And then I took that thought from several days before, I set it into motion, I turned it into actions, and that's what eventually got me/us to the beach. So if we wanted to express this as a formula, we'd say thoughts plus your actions equals a desired outcome, right? Simple enough. But even though this is simple enough, and even though it's the kind of thinking that leads to the actions we end up setting in motion, here's the really big challenge that we face. We have a hard time translating and applying this very simple formula to what we perceive to be more complex and challenging changes that we want to make, right? We can easily see how a thought yesterday about me wanting to go to the beach can get me to the beach the very next day, but we really struggle with the idea that we can embrace this same very simple sort of formulaic thought process to help us achieve even loftier goals that we have in our personal and professional life. So why is that? I think there's a couple of reasons why we get tripped up in applying this really simple formula, but just let me give you a second example that might help us to sort of think through this. So let's say that you want to find a way to make $500 more a month in income. And I know some of you are entrepreneurs and have your own businesses. I know some of you are working in law firms, universities, other organizations, but regardless of what your position is, I'm guessing there's more than a few of us who wouldn't like to make an additional $500 in income a month, right? So let's just pretend for a second that in the same way I had my little mini epiphany that I wanted to go to the beach, let's say you wake up one day and you have a thought that you want to make another $500 a month to support your family, buy, put it towards a down payment for a new home, get a new car, whatever it is. In my second example, why is it so much harder to work through the formula that I laid out? Why can't we just trust that if I think about something and I take a bunch of actions around that thought, that I can achieve that same outcome? Why is it so much harder for me to get there in my second example than it is in my first example? Well, I think there are three reasons. There's several reasons, but I think there are three main reasons why we struggle to make this same formula stick, and here are the three. First, the second example I think seems more complicated, right? Going to the beach, pretty straightforward. There are potentially more steps and actions that need to be taken in order to arrive at my additional $500 a month than there are at me just arriving at the beach. Second, the path to how to achieve my $500 per month is a little less clear, right? So unlike going to the beach, and lots of people do, you may never have tried to make an additional $500 per month before. So the path forward to getting to that place is maybe a little less clear for you. And then third, there's this uncertainty about whether it will work in the first place, right? I'm pretty sure I can get myself to the beach without much of a problem. But when I think about something like earning an additional $500 per month, and I start to think actually about how I might do that, and if I've never done that before, then the limiting thoughts in my brain, right, the things that want to keep me safe start to kick in, and it starts to feel risky, or I start to think I might not actually be able to do that, right? There's a part of me that is fearful that it may not work, or that I don't know how to do it, or that I'll do it the wrong way, or that I don't want to put myself out there and tell people I'm trying to do this, or have them see me try to do it and then potentially fail, or a whole bunch of other limiting beliefs that are rooted in fear and lack of information. But what I want you to understand is that each of them can be addressed using the very same simple formula that I use to get myself to the beach. The time it takes to that outcome, or the number of times I have to repeat and work through the formula, will probably just be a little bit different. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Here's why the same formula works. When you continuously focus on positive and constructive thoughts that lead to actions, you set yourself up for a new reality that brings you closer to that outcome each day. Okay, so I know that that's a little dense. I'll say it again. When you continuously focus on positive and constructive thoughts that lead to actions, you set yourself up for a new reality that brings you closer to that outcome each day. So each time you have a thought that's directed at realizing that change that you want to see, the $500, it sets in motion an action that helps you obtain more information and move you closer to that end outcome that you want, right? So your thoughts basically bring you into a new reality. So that's what I mean by what you thought about yesterday is what you are today, right? Your product and circumstance, you and your circumstances are a product of what you've been thinking about, right? So let's say I have a thought today that I want to make $500 more a month. And that will lead to questions like, how can I actually do that? Like, what are the things I enjoy that could help me make $500 more per month, right? So this idea has entered your mind, you're excited about it, and then you have questions. When would I find the time? Who could I ask for input on how to do this? What resources could I use to get some ideas? And then as you're having these thoughts, they lead to actions like this. Maybe I'm going to make a list of ideas that could earn me $500 per month, right? Bring in another client, build a little side hustle, sign up for some freelance work. Maybe I'm going to make a budget and cut back on unnecessary things I'm already spending money on. Those are some ideas. Then I'm going to maybe talk to my significant other or someone else about helping me to block off a couple of hours per week to work on this, right? So I have some time and space to figure out how to do it. Maybe I'll make a list of people I know who have helped other people achieve this, or who I know who have done this themselves, and I can ask them some questions. Maybe somebody like me. Or you could just do a simple Google search, right? How to make $500 more per month. I actually did that before I hopped on, and there's like 6 pages of ideas of people who have helped other people make $500 a month, right? Maybe taking these actions will lead you to an immediate solution. Maybe the solution won't be there immediately. But in either case, all these actions lead you to another round of thoughts that lead you to another round of actions that get you a bit closer each time to that change that you want to see. So in other words, the new reality I have on causes me to have a whole new series of thoughts that lead to a new reality on day 3 and day 4 and day 5. So in this way, every thought you have the day before leads you to being a different person the next day with more information and better equipped than you were the day before. Now, the challenging part will be that along the way, you might encounter, and you probably will encounter, interferences, right? That will prevent you from seeing the kind of progress that you want to make each day, or they might interrupt the initial excitement and clarity that you had about that idea. But here's what I want you to know. The people who don't make it to the outcome they want are the ones who stop putting strong thought behind the change that they want to see, right? Because when you stop putting strong thought behind the change that you want to see, then your actions no longer align with those thoughts and you stop making progress. You stop becoming a different person on day 2 because you stopped putting energy into strong thoughts on day 1. If you want to make $500 extra a month, there's no good reason why you couldn't do that. It might take longer than you want. There might be more steps that you need to take. You might have to confront some fears around it, but there simply is no good reason that you cannot experience that if you start with strong thoughts. So what I want to do is leave you this week with a request that you focus on this formula. Consistent thoughts plus actions equals your desired outcome. And I want you to think about one great idea you've had that relates to changing your workday or the trajectory of your career. So I want you to just think about something in the recent past where you said, you know what, I wish that this was different about my day. And when you thought about what it would be like to have that thing, it got you excited, right? In the same way that I got excited about going to the beach. You want more freedom in your workday. You want to stop worrying so much. You want to feel more organized. You want to make more money. You want to spend more time with family. What is a change that you want to see? And then what I want you to do is think about this formula and a few keys to how it works. And there's 3 of them. Number 1 is recognize that the change that you want to see originates with a strong thought. I want to go to the beach. I want to make $500 more per month. You are today what you thought about yesterday. Key number 2, what comes between the thought and the achievement of the change or outcome is just simply a set of actions that you've taken, right? Those actions give you more information that you can use to have more originating thoughts. And then key 3, the last one is it's okay if you don't know all the steps on how to get there. The most important part of this whole thing is just taking action. If you get stuck, it means you need more information, and you can get that information by taking more action. So what I want you to do is consider this formula, think about one thing that you want to change, and decide what actions you're going to take from there. Okay, let's spend some time taking questions if there are any. So I can anticipate or imagine that you have some questions about how to fill in some of these gaps. If you do have a question, go ahead and submit it in the chat, or feel free to ask it live. I want to make sure that you're understanding this concept, and that I've done a good enough job of taking it from this sort of higher level place down to something that we can do day to day. Okay. Seeing no questions, we will leave it there for today. Please, if after thinking about this, you do have some questions, feel free to shoot me an email or ping me on any of these social media platforms. I'm more than happy to answer your questions if after giving this some thought they come up. Thank you again for joining, everyone. As always, would love to connect with you on social media to get your help about spreading the word about this series. If you could share it with a friend, or give us a shout out, that would be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. I've got our tags up here at the bottom of the screen. Our next episode is next Monday at the same time. I will see you then. Go have a great work day.